Thank you. You be seated. All right. Your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Hurd, you've testified repeatedly that you were concerned about Mr. Depp's substance use during your relationship, right?
Yes, that's correct.
But you weren't concerned enough to stop using drugs and alcohol yourself, were you?
I did not use drugs when I was with Johnny, like in his presence, aside from the times I testified about with you.
So you weren't concerned enough to stop using drugs and alcohol the times you testified to in front of this jury, right?
As I testified to earlier, I took drugs in Johnny's presence on those 2 occasions, early in our relationship in 2013.
So you never changed your own behavior to support Mr. Depp in his sobriety, did you?
I did a lot of changing to support his sobriety. I tried everything that I could possibly think of.
But you drank wine around Mr. Depp on a regular basis, correct?
I did drink wine.
And you took Mr. Depp to Hicksville to do, quote, laughy drugs like mushrooms, end quote, right?
That's correct.
And you testified that despite what supposedly happened in Hicksville, you decided to take MDMA with Mr. Depp on a plane to Russia in June of 2013, correct?
As I mentioned, those are the 2 occasions.
You testified that this was the last time you would make that mistake, right?
That is correct.
And when asked if you would ask Mr. Depp to get you MDMA in Australia, you said that was, quote, ridiculous, right?
That is correct.
Because you had learned your lesson the hard way on the plane to Russia.
Russia, yes, that's correct.
Yours and Mr. Depp's wedding in the Bahamas was in February of 2015, right?
That is correct.
So that would have been after the Russia flight.
Yes, when I did, when we had mushrooms on the island for my hen party, my wet bridal party before. We were not with Johnny. I was not with Johnny at the time.
It was your wedding with Mr. Depp on the island, right?
To be clear, we were both on the same island. We just weren't around each other that evening. We had kind of separate parties, a bridal party and a groom's party.
And your wedding was a month before Australia, correct?
That is correct.
And you arranged to have drugs at your wedding, correct?
Like I said, we had mushrooms for my bridal party beforehand.
On the island for your wedding?
Before the wedding.
On the island?
On the island, yes.
Okay. Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1262? This is an email you sent on February 1st, 2015, correct?
That is correct. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I'm going to move to admit and publish Plaintiff's Exhibit 1262.
Any objection? Yeah, sure.
Your Honor, if we could please have Ms. Heard's email published to the jury.
All right, 1262 in evidence.
This is a schedule for your wedding weekend, right, Ms. Heard?
No, it's not. It's a proposed draft of a schedule. It ended up being quite different.
Do you see where it says 7 p.m. rehearsal dinner?
Yes, I see that.
And the next item on the list says, quote, after dance party and drugs and music, end quote, right?
That is correct.
So you plan to have drugs at your wedding to someone you characterize as a drug addict?
To be fair, we were going to have separate parties, as I mentioned. So a bridal party before this. The schedule ended up changing quite a bit, and this is a draft, clearly, that was sent before there were a lot of changes made. The bridal
so
party
your original
and the
idea,
groom's
Ms.
party were
Heard,
separate.
Ms. Heard, your original idea was to have a rehearsal dinner with your husband, the drug addict, the monster, and then do drugs with your girlfriends on the island after your rehearsal dinner?
I realize that's what the email suggests, but that wasn't
No,
a
it's
plan.
not what it suggests, Ms. Heard. It's what you said in that email.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is that the schedule ended up changing. We ended up doing the little,
So your
as I
original
called
idea
it,
was
cuddle
to do
puddle
drugs.
before.
Yeah, your original idea was to do drugs on an island after your rehearsal dinner to the drug-fueled monster that you were about to marry, right?
As the email suggests, there was going to be weed on the island. This does not reference the cuddle puddle that I just referenced to you.
You like to do drugs on special occasions, right, Ms. Heard?
I have before.
And you did drugs again for your 30th birthday, right?
That is correct. That was a huge mistake.
Your 30th birthday dinner was on April 21st, 2016.
Yes, it was the day before my birthday, correct.
And you testified that Mr. Depp was running late to the celebration, correct?
That is correct.
And you asked Mr. Depp to bring you alcohol when he arrived. Is that right?
So the utility closet where we kept the wine was right by the elevators. And I also told him he could bring in a joint. I wouldn't bite his head off if he did.
So that's a yes.
That's correct. I told him I wouldn't be angry.
Let's look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 1263.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask to show, first of all, this one hasn't been produced. This has not, it's a brand new trial exhibit, so I don't have it. I'd like an unredacted copy, and then I'd like an unredacted copy to be shown to the witness.
All right, do you have an unredacted copy?
We can make one, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, may we approach about
All
this?
right.
I'm going to show the unredacted messages to counsel for Ms. Heard on a laptop because I don't have a hard copy.
Okay.
Yeah, could we, let's just pause for a minute. I don't want to see.
What's that?
Okay. So Ms. Heard, I'm only going to...
Your Honor, I'm going to object to asking questions while I'm looking at this.
All right, if you could give her a moment, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm only going to ask her about text messages on the screen.
I'm having trouble seeing this. Can you? Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So any objection 1263 as redacted?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 1263 in evidence.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Heard, directing your attention to the Plaintiff's Exhibit 1263. This is a text message that you sent to Mr. Depp, correct?
That is correct.
And you sent this message to Mr. Depp the day you had your 30th birthday dinner, right?
That is correct.
And you write, quote, "Hey baby, bring up something to drink and or a joint. I'm in if you are. See you in a minute, question mark, XX." Did I read that right?
That is correct.
And then the next day you went to Coachella and consumed MDMA and mushrooms, right, Ms. Heard?
I did. Johnny was not there for that.
Right. Let's talk a little bit more about your 30th birthday. You testified about this incident multiple times, haven't you?
That is correct.
But yesterday, you told this jury that you were not called upon to provide a detailed accounting of all physical and sexual abuse by Mr. Depp until February 2020. Is that correct?
I testified that I had not been able to do so until February 2020 in outside of the context of a Cole deposition.
Actually, I misspoke. February 2022, this year.
Right. Sorry, I did the same thing you did.
Okay. And you did that
right.
with something called an interrogatory.
And my little girl woke up,
The
guys.
interrogatory
Had to get her something to
response was
drink.
the first time that I
She's
did
over
that
here
outside
now.
of the context of being asked certain questions in the deposition.
I don't know
And
why
you
the stream keeps
testified about
dying,
your
guys. I don't know why it
30th
keeps
birthday in this
dying.
interrogatory, correct?
I believe so. Yes. Yes.
Welcome back, everybody. What's up,
Nonetheless,
Charles?
You testified to a new detail about your 30th
Man, the
birthday
myth, the
for
devil, the
first time
legend.
in
I
court,
appreciate you, man.
No, that's incorrect.
a sexual assault, no less.
I had just not placed when that happened. I was never sure if that was the same time that he did that on the night of my birthday, and I maintained that as well. in my
You would
deposition.
definitely remember that.
You told this jury that the evening of your 30th birthday dinner, Mr. Depp, quote, grabbed you by the pubic area, end quote, pushed you down, right?
That is correct.
This detail isn't in your interrogatory response, is it, Ms. Heard?
That detail is
I'll
in
be right
my
back, guys.
interrogatory response. Yes.
Let's pull up your interrogatory response. If we could please bring up Ms. Bredehoff. Thank you. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
If we can go to your interrogatory responses at page 57. These are signed under the penalty of perjury, correct?
That is correct.
And you testified again to this jury that this was the first time you were given an opportunity to write down everything and include all your evidence, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So let's go to page 57. At the top of page 57, Johnny and I were not in a good place. I begged him to make my birthday dinner. Do you see that?
That is correct.
Okay, so starting on page 57, you start describing your birthday dinner, correct?
That is correct.
All right.